So, automotive insurance is rising at its fastest rate in over 47 years. In fact, year over year, we're averaging a 20% increase from 2023 to 2024 right now. Uh, why is that? What's going on? Well, there's a lot of different factors. First of all, you can blame just general inflation. Everything else is stupid expensive and just kind of rising constantly now anyway. Cars are more expensive. The cars themselves have more expensive sensors, a hell of a lot more sensors, a hell of a lot more tech inside of them. So when you crash them now, it's not just about replacing a bumper, it's about replacing a bumper that's part of a different structure and 18 other sensors. Because of that, the labor and the know-how, the knowledge, and everything that you need to fix these cars is more expensive. On top of that, you got lawsuits, personal injury lawyers freaking everywhere. Everyone is so goddamn sue happy when it comes to this stuff. And guess what, guys? The insurance companies know that you're distracted drivers, that you've got phones and screens and just an overall lack of driving ability altogether. The NHTSA, which are the guys who basically, try to make all these rules and laws and promote safe driving and all that stuff, have been reporting that even with all the extra sensors and the tech and trying to make everything as safe as possible, we're having more accidents and more personal harm claims, and deaths are still way, way up. So, what's going on here? I mean, speed limits haven't increased, so people shouldn't be driving faster or any more unsafe. These cars do most of the driving for you nowadays. I mean, a freaking sensor goes off every time that you get out of your lane or get even remotely close to another vehicle. So obviously what we're doing here is not working. So what's going on? I think the problem is that we're trying to legislate the wrong way. Instead of trying to make better drivers, we're trying to make cars that are so good that it doesn't need a good driver. And that's not realistic. I don't think so, at least. I mean, there's only so much engineers can do, especially when they're not there to operate the vehicle at the time. At some point, we have to take responsibility and say, damn, I'm a bad driver. I got to quit crashing these freaking cars because it's ridiculous. I mean, what can we do to fix this? Give me your input, guys. Obviously, I think there's been a massive uptick ever since these big phones became a thing. Everybody, you drive around downtown Atlanta right now, and half the people have their head just absolutely buried in the phone, staring at the screen. You've also got massive screens just in the cars themselves. Let's make the driving test harder. I know I haven't taken a driving test in a really long time, which that's a problem too. Let's make them more often, not just harder, but make it where you got to take it like every 5 years or something to prove that you didn't become a schmuck over the last couple of years. But when I took my driving test at 16, I was not a very good driver, and the test itself took like 5 or 10 minutes. It did not show much driving skill other than can you maneuver this vehicle around a parking lot and then, happen to get parallel parking right. What about smaller cars? Manufacturers are all about bigger and better and more tech and heavier, heavier, heavier. Everything is so goddamn massive right now. We're all driving around in these land yachts, these 5,000-pound missiles. What if we go back to smaller cars so that whenever we do hit something, it's not the end of the world for somebody else? What about less tech? At least in my own experience, this tech is really freaking distracting. I can't stand lane keep assist and all this other stuff beeping at me and telling me to be a better driver and all that shit. Just let me be a better driver, And this one's going to be, I know everybody's going to hate this one, but let's bring back the manual transmission. Have you guys ever noticed that the best drivers on the road, the ones who are the least distracted and the most focused on what's happening, are driving the most difficult to drive cars? They're driving cars with manual transmissions, typically sports cars, something that engages you and forces you to enjoy the road instead of enjoying screens and whatever other distraction you're looking for. I think we need better drivers, and we need to make life a little bit harder on everyone else who's not. I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but hey, it's okay to be wrong.